All right, welcome back, people of the internet, to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques.
I'm Andrew.
I'm David.
Yeah, and we got three people in the house today because we're talking Google announcements, Google I/O, Google hardware. But first, right off the top, I do want to give a shout out to, first of all, the way David is wearing his headphones right now. If you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, then you can see that David is wearing a Google hat, but he also had to take his headphones off to put the hat on, and he wrapped them around his neck facing down. And I just want to say that every pair of headphones should be able to do that. I feel like when I post a video review of the Sony headphones that are coming out this week, and it's out by the time you see it, people will be mad that I overreacted about this, but it is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give a shout out now to go ahead and watch the Sony WH-1000XM5 review. Those headphones are out, and they are really good, really comfortable, sound fantastic, and I'm very annoyed that they no longer fold. Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to that off the top. Also, quick little correction from last week. We did talk a little bit about the Ram trucks, and it was in one of our trivia questions, and we did refer to it as the Dodge Ram a few times.
A lot of times,
A YouTube commenter graciously pointed out that that's actually no longer the way the companies are organized. Fiat owns Dodge, and Dodge used to own Ram, but now Fiat directly owns Ram at the same level as Dodge.
They're just Ram trucks now.
Ram trucks
is the easiest way of putting it. Apparently, yeah. It's very confusing. There were people in the comments calling it the Dodge Ram, so we're not the only ones, but would like to make that correction.
Just putting that out there so you guys don't go around saying Dodge Ram. So Ram trucks. Anyway, let's talk Google I/O. There was a 2-hour keynote today on the day of recording. You're wearing Google. I don't know how long this Google hat's happening, but it's on.
Well, for a bit, but also I've got Chrome dinosaur socks.
Oh my God.
For people that can see that. It's
you really came
no
prepared.
Internet.
You stretched before this episode.
Oh yeah, I'm very flexible. And
Impressive.
then also these socks that say I'm feeling lucky.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you get that? Is that Google swag? Or did you?
Disclosure. Since Dieter can't do this anymore, I'll just replace him, I guess. My sister and her husband work at Google, so they sent me these as a Christmas gift.
So you've got the Google swag.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All
right. Well, we'll talk through all the announcements. This event was how do I describe this event?
Long.
It was it was a long event. It was 2 hours long.
It was 2 hours.
The first 1 hour and 32 minutes of it was Google flexing about how much data they have and all the cool stuff they can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 30 minutes was them pre-announcing a bunch of products that aren't ready yet. That's what happened at Google's event.
Yeah.
Which do you want to talk about first?
I kind of like, in the hour and a half, there's a lot of things, but they're mostly software and AI things. I kind of just wrote down all the ones I thought were the most exciting. I thought we'll just quickly go through it, and then clearly we're all hardware people, so we'll do that last. Also, first live Google event in 3 years.
Oh, in person. Yeah, it was in the amphitheater. Mm-hmm. It was in front of a live audience. Some people were able to attend, which is cool. In 3 years, wow, time does fly, but that's right. Wow. 2020 didn't happen. 2021, virtual. I do know Apple's upcoming WWDC will again be virtual with very limited in-person attendance. Okay. We'll see what that looks like, but you're right. The amphitheater was kind of packed today.
I thought this was going to be limited too, and then I saw a lot of people there.
It's probably less than normal.
Yeah.
It's probably less than normal. But when you put them all in the theater for the main keynote, it probably looks like a lot.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want me to just go down this list of things? Some more interesting than the other, but I'll just say them all out loud and we can have a conversation about them. 24 new languages added to Google Translate.
I love that.
At first I was like, that number is not too crazy, but I realized I didn't know a single language listed. So I wondered how many they have. This now brings the total to 133 different languages.
Google has so much data.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also
step one.
Didn't they briefly talk about how the way they're helping with translation is if there's not direct translations between some languages, they use a different language as an in-between.
Like a bridge.
Yeah,
language.
To kind of make things together. I thought that was really fascinating.
Sort of makes sense because most languages are sort of based in roots.
Yeah.
And so you can sort of branch out from there. Like English is Germanic. So that's why a lot of English sounds like German words.
Yeah. So that's a lot of smarts, but also a lot of data.
Crazy.
It's a lot of data.
Yeah. And computing.
I'm just going to keep repeating this sentence every new point.
Is that just how you're going to answer all of the things
hit the next one.
Okay.
Hit the next one.
Immersive view with Google Maps.
Oh, so you're saying they're mapping the entire planet?
Pretty much, and like insane.
I'm ready for it.
It was like
that's a lot of data.
That is a lot of data.
We need the like staples,
trying to say it before you get to there.
We need the staples I'm feeling lucky button, but instead that's a lot of data.
The easy button, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling lucky is
that was
another
easy,
Google thing. That was easy. Yes, the easy button. Okay. That was sweet.
It was like SimCity, like Civilization looked crazy. Yeah. And then they also had it.
Was that a reaction to Apple making like ultra high realistic map stuff?
They did. They have like
they only did that for a
stuff,
couple
right?
cities though. Mm-hmm.
So Apple did in a couple of their very specific cities. They went in and they did these super high quality maps where I don't know if you've ever like accelerated down the street in Google Maps, but when you hit the arrow, it's just a blur and then it sharpens into the next image. And in these Apple maps, you could actually sort of drive down the street, which was kind of cool. Yeah. And you actually look around. And so Google is improving the quality of a lot of their maps in a lot of places. And one of the things they did was let you go inside of these places.
This was crazy.
And it would stitch together. You remember photospheres, right?
Yeah.
So you go into a place, you can look around a photosphere with your phone and then move to a different part of the bar and look around that part in a new photosphere. Yeah. It would stitch them together in a way that looked like a drone shot flying through the bar.
It was so cool.
That's a lot of
data. And
it
didn't look weird like a photosphere. Like one of the first photos I have in my Google Photos is a photosphere in San Francisco from like way back when they launched it. And it looks so bad because you had to be like, take a photo, move, take a photo, move. Yeah. But this, like the interiors that the Google Maps did just looks amazing. It looks like a rendered 3D space.
And like the way they showed it in video literally looked like an FPV drone came in and like did that typical like swoop around before it hits a wall and look back. It looked,
I'm wondering awesome. Like how many cities they're going to do this in, how many restaurants they're going to do this in, like, do they have to do every single one individually, or are they able to like take photos that people have already uploaded for reviews on Google Maps?
So, I mean, this is just the keynote, and they went over it at a high level. I'm not sure how much information we're going to get, but I do imagine this is limited.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to be able to just do this. By the way, I love this feature as the socially anxious person I am. I want to be able to map out exactly where I'm going to go somewhere, and so when I get the drone shot that shows me exactly where I get to go, that's just beautiful.
What is my walking around?
I could see it potentially pulling images though, because they did show something later about being able to use Google Lens for food and find nearby places like that. So it was basically taking a picture of a platter of food, using the points that it would find in that, and then using like Google Maps reviews and the photos inside of those to try and find another food platter that looked like it to show you local stuff.
Oh, I bet it does.
They're pulling from that, obviously.
It probably does image recognition based on people's reviews of the restaurant.
The photos that they're uploading.
What food that restaurant offers.
That's really cool.
That is so much data.
Really that's a lot of data.
Okay.
And
Slap.
Just to go off that, it's a Google Lens, and they also added something called scene exploration. So rather than taking one photo, you can stitch together almost a panoramic view of photos. The example they showed was with a shelf full of chocolate, panned over the entire shelf of chocolate, and then it was individually picking bars of chocolate that were meeting your needs of like nut-free dark chocolate, and then rating
based on it. That's so amazing. In places like that where there's just like thousands of options and it takes you forever to go through them, if you could just know.
We were talking about like wine or something like that. If you knew you liked some sort of red wine with like a fruity note or something like that, it could show you other ones potentially.
Sometimes,
I think that could be really cool.
Sometimes I'm in a wine store.
Pairs of Crocs, if you want to make sure that they are similar to the pair that you like already.
I was with you, and then you just lost me. Right at the Crocs, you lost me.
No, sometimes I'll go to a wine store before a party, and a friend of mine will be like, can you grab this specific wine? And it's like, I'm going to be 30 minutes because there are hundreds of bottles of wine. Like, I don't know how to find that.
Yeah, so now you can literally Google it.
Yeah,
in the store
in real space.
Sick.
That's awesome. That's a lot of data.
we got a little AI automated TLDR in Google Docs. So if you're in a collaborative document, you get a really long doc going with a whole bunch of sections and a bunch of contributors. They'll make a TLDR for you based on what AI thinks are the most important things. That's pretty cool.
I liked that a lot.
That's really good.
That was really cool.
That got a big cheer because I think there's a lot of people that work in Google Docs that have big collaborative documents like that want the Spark Notes of the doc.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see.
Spark Notes were ahead of their time.
Yep. Google. So we talked about, Nest Hub Max I have one in my house. It's a smart speaker with a screen on it.
Yeah, smart display.
With a camera on it and with a bunch of sensors facing into the room. anytime I want it to do anything, I still have to bark at it out loud, say the Hey G command like any other smart speaker. They added a new one, or actually a pair of new ways to activate it that don't involve that exact thing. First, you can look at it.
Make eye contact.
It will know that you've made eye contact with it, and then it'll start listening for whatever command. Kind of cool. Not as natural because I'm usually halfway across the room, but maybe I don't want to say the command, so I just look at it and say, what time is it? Even though the time's on the screen already.
In the demo they showed, like, she had to kind of lean in and stare at it. And they're like, you could just tap it maybe.
You had to like mean mug it. Like you had to.
If you could do it from across the room, that would be nice.
It would be cool,
yeah. I notice every morning when I walk past it, and I walk like 4 feet from it, I look over at it, and it says, hey, Marques, and it gives me my things for the day.
Briefing.
So I like, within 5 feet of it, it's kind of cool to be able to look over and be able to talk to it. But I like the second one better, which is a bunch of no-trigger commands that you can just say out loud, and the mics will pick you up and just do it. So instead of saying, hey, G, set a timer, or hey, G, what's the weather, you can be in the room and just say, what's the weather in Argentina? And it'll tell you, I should probably be more specific and give it like a city, but it'll tell you without you having to say the command. The list of commands is setting a timer, asking for the time, which is hilarious because it says the time all the time anyway. Turn some lights on or off in your smart home, cancel a timer or set a new timer or alarm, dim or brighten your lights, and ask for the weather. So some of the most basic common stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not quite sure about here, at first, when they said this, we were all thinking this is for any Google Home, like mini, regular home, Nest.
I
think it's only Nest Home Max.
I think that...
Because there was a slide previously that said quick phrase. The slide that said quick phrases before they showed it says Nest Home Max on it. And I'm very confused about that.
I would like this to be on everything.
I would kind of, the way they described it sounded like it was on everything.
They said we're expanding our quick phrases, and I know right now you can say stop when a timer is ending. So that is a quick phrase, and it would be nice. I like being able to ask for the time without the quick phrase is amazing.
Yeah. So they all have far field mics, so they can all hear you theoretically. So the only reason I could see it being just Nest Hub Max is if it's doing some sort of authentication first to know it's you, but it also should know that from your voice. So I'm not sure.
Also, what's the problem with the stranger asking for the weather?
True.
You know, these are specific quick phrases. It's not like you're able to do anything you want with them.
I also don't get why it would be something different than the like look to activate. Because if look to activate can confirm and it works on you and then you can ask it anything, what's the difference between then now these phrases that's only available on Nest Hub Max?
Yeah.
Is it just that like the vicinity's a little bigger on it?
That'd be worth clarifying.
Maybe it has more built-in memory.
Yeah, I would like to clarify that at some point. If that's available on all of them, I don't care about look to activate on anything because these are the things I want to turn my lights off and I want to set an alarm all the time.
I want to walk into a room and be like, what's the weather? And not even blink, and it's just telling me.
Yeah.
Love that.
I would love to use the time thing when I'm in the shower trying to get ready to leave. I ask my Google Nest Wi-Fi every morning what the weather's going to be, which asking my router what the weather is already funny, but just being able to wake up, open my eyes and be like, what's the weather? That would be great.
Yeah,
that'd be
really
awesome.
nice.
That's the
sick.
future.
So we got a little bit about Lambda 2.
Yeah. Lambda 2. The lambdaing.
So here's a little bit of a scoop. We're working on a video right now about a different AI project from a different company. And we've been thinking about this video for a long time in this project and just how powerful and impressive these general AI systems can be at connecting natural language with like associated language or images or whatever it is. Lambda is right up this alley. It is limited and we can sign up for a preview, but I'm just going to say, Google, if you're watching this, I would love to try Lambda 2. If we could get access to it and like try it and do some AI video with this, that'd be sick. But basically the demo they did on stage that I loved was, you basically just type in, what would it be like on Mars? Like what would it be like to live on Mars? And it just dreams up a paragraph of sentences based on information from the internet about what it would be like to live on Mars. And you can type in whatever you want. What would it be like to live inside a scoop of ice cream? I don't know. What would it be like to get swallowed by a whale? And it just answers you.
This is definitely an extension of last year's Lambda, which was giving sentience to inanimate objects. So it was like asking Pluto, asking the moon, like, what are you? Like, what's your life been like? you know? And so this is sort of an extension of that, where now you're going further and you're telling stories and you're creating things that don't exist out of nothing, which is sort of the crazy part of AI that we're starting to get into now over the last couple of years, is like AI creating its own stuff that's not even really based on anything in particular. It's
but
like
in a way
learning
that,
ideas.
But it's also weirdly based on
It's weirdly
everything.
based on everything is stacked. Like it's learning things based on models and based on databases, but then it is creating new things by itself.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what this is doing too.
Things that make sense because of it's based in reality nature. Yeah. It's fascinating.
The funny thing we saw though was every time it would tell a story, it would always say, "I think this. I think it would be like this." And I don't know if that's just like a legality thing. They don't want Lambda to lie to people or something.
I think that's what it is. Like, what would it be like if I jumped off this building? I think, Google's not going to tell you to do something. I think there's it's the same way. So we're talking about OpenAI, DALL-E, making images out of text. You have to disclose anytime you share any of the images that it generates that it is made by an AI.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Just in case it looks too close to reality or if it resembles something someone might think is real.
Yeah.
And I think the I think statement is kind of part of Google's way of doing that with these executions.
Yeah, ethical AI has been like a major point of interest in the last few years, even though Google like got into a bunch of controversy for firing their head of ethical AI like 2 years ago. I don't know. There was this major controversy thing. But overall, the entire industry has definitely been thinking about that more. That might have been a spark, honestly.
As it gets better, you have to be more up on top of the whole disclosure thing.
Yeah.
As you'll see from the DALL-E video we eventually make, you have to disclose.
It's coming up.
It's crazy.
They also were very specific at the end of a few, because it's, still early in Lambda. If you were using it, they had a couple disclaimers of one of them being results may be offensive. So I'm very interested in what might
That's
pop
also
up in there.
like different people consider different things offensive.
Very
so
true.
That's kind of a catch-all.
And I'm sure it doesn't, know how to tell all of that from what it's pulling from the internet. Directly.
I think it's probably a lot of accidental like association too. I think they just use the word offensive as a blanket word for like anything you don't want like your kid to read from an AI. So
totally.
Yeah, they're being safe about it. But same thing with DALL-E.
These are actually every year though at Google I/O, the AI demos are probably one of my favorite things that they show off, because it's just that's like holy crap, the technology is getting insane kind of thing.
The future.
That's sort of my favorite thing.
This is also one of those weird things that I could only see Google doing. Like we've kept saying they have so much data. So like it's pretty clear that they are able to do this because of all the data they have. But it's like, okay, I compare this to an Apple keynote, and there are certain things that Apple can do that you're like, yeah, only Apple could pull this off. And as we were watching, I think they had a whole section on safety, and as I'm watching that, I'm like, if you have to have someone come up on stage just to promise to the world that this is going to be okay, we're doing it safely and responsibly, then you have a lot of data. You have a lot going on.
I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago when they first demoed the Google Assistant being able to call restaurants and like not tell the restaurants it was an AI and make appointments for you and be like, hey, I'm calling to make an appointment for this person. 7:30, and it would use like human annotations and stuff. They got in so much heat over that
because they didn't disclose, right?
Because they didn't disclose that it was a robot. They changed the whole thing to be like, "Hi, I am a Google Assistant calling for this person. I am a robot made by Google," and then the restaurants just hang up on you.
That's the thing. I bet they did a lot of testing.
Yeah.
Where like, in order to be most effective, you literally have to trick someone into thinking it is a human. Which is very irresponsible. Right. But it just works way better that way. So if you work for Google, you're like, well, okay, anytime I get a call and I screen someone with like Google's, what is it called?
Screen calling?
Yeah, screen calling.
Yeah.
It immediately goes
call
like...
screening.
Call screening. It's like the person you're trying to reach is using a call screening service by Google.
Yeah.
75% of people hang up immediately when they hear that. So when you're...
Which, to be honest, I want most people to hang up when they hit
probably,
that point anyway.
But some people, they make it through the screening and it's like someone I needed to talk to. Yeah. But if you're running a restaurant and you get a call and it's someone, and you pick up the phone and you're waiting for someone to order pizza, you're like on the phone already, you're rushing, and so it's just someone like This is a robot calling you. You're just gonna hang up like immediately.
That's the problem. It's such a push and pull. It's like, it would work better, but also the like implications are not good.
Yeah. So how do they move forward with it? It's like they have to keep getting better at impersonating humans, but also immediately tell everyone they're not a human.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's sort of the same thing with like deepfakes, right? It's like we want to get better and better at creating photorealistic things. But then the amount of irresponsible things you can do with a deepfake is outrageous.
It's off the charts.
Yeah. Like there have already been deepfakes on Twitter that have sparked a ton of controversy that it was later found out they were not real.
Did you see the new Kendrick Lamar video with deepfakes in it?
It's really good.
In it?
Yeah. It is deepfakes. It's just him and different people over his face while he's rapping.
Wow.
It's insanely well done. There's a couple little moments where you can tell it's like not quite real. You can see the like slip up of maybe like his mouth looking a little different, but it's insanely good. I highly recommend it.
It's very good. Yeah. I find myself, like, I'm just remembering, we also talked about a Kendrick Lamar music video a few years ago where he had the robot shots going. The cinematography in Kendrick Lamar music videos is pushing the technological limits. I want to just give Kendrick Lamar a shout out for that.
Bring him on the podcast.
Deep fakes, robot shots, like clone shots, all that type of stuff. Shout out to Kendrick. Good stuff.
Shout out.
Good looks.
Shout out to Kendrick.
I know he needs the shout out from the Waveform podcast.
Needs it, yeah.
Young up and coming artist. He might make it big someday. We got a lot of stuff. We apparently Google Wallet is coming back.
Boy.
It might have messages built in again. Who even knows? There's a bunch of little stuff, but I think we want to talk hardware after the break.
Can I just say something about Wallet real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so Google Wallet existed a long time ago. It was meant to replace your wallet completely. It was awesome. They gave you a Google Wallet physical card. It was like a debit card. It had your Google Play balance on it, and you could use it like real money. And it was great, and I had one. And then like a year into the program, they're like, your cards are not going to work anymore. We're getting rid of Google Wallet. It's going to be Google Pay now. Became Google Pay. Then they didn't update anything in Google Pay for forever. Everything broke. They made it again. They called it Google Pay again. But then they partnered with some bank, and then that blew up. So they got rid of that. And then it was still Google Pay. And now it's still Google Pay that has a messaging service built in because you can message people through Google Pay. Now they're scrapping Google Pay, and it's Google Wallet. Just keep Google Wallet. Google Wallet is a great name. It's a great idea. The whole idea is that you're supposed to be able to leave your wallet at home and use your phone as your wallet. Just keep it. It's fine. And I want the debit card back. That's all I have to say.
Someone's not salty.
It was a good product.
Not at all.
They should just.
I'm peppered.
The logo's great for it. Out of a lot of the Google logos lately have been rough. Great logo.
The new logo is pretty much the old logo, but slightly newer. That's it.
I feel like the number one thing with a Google product when you get involved early is like, I hope this lasts. I hope this doesn't get killed in a year.
Shout out to Allo.
Shout out to Google Plus. Anyway,
there's a lot of
do we have trivia?
We should go to break.
We have trivia.
Okay, trivia. Yeah.
Trivia, then we'll go to break and talk Google hardware. Adam, hit us.
First, I want to say I'm also a sad Google Pay user, Google Wallet user. Rest in peace.
You don't even know what kind of user you are.
I don't even know.
I'm going to message you on Google Pay before they change it.
It came on and then it left, and I don't know where it went. I don't know. Anyway, so we've been talking about Google a lot, but there was also another event that happened this week. The iPod got discontinued.
It did.
When was the first iPod released?
Oh, I know this.
Okay. Well, if you can get it down to the day. I'll accept the year, down to the day.
Oh, I'm going to try to get the year.
You'll get extra points.
David's like, I was there. I was
at the iPhone event, but I was too young. Like, the iPod was, 2001?
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Well, you don't have to.
Well, my guess. Oh,
you think about
this
it.
is later. This is later.
So we think about it.
Anyway.
We'll come back after the break.
Question?
No.
Okay.
That's a good question.
I'm just. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
You guys have to guess something different now.
Think about it. We'll be back after the break. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by Backbone. So imagine playing your favorite mobile video game anytime. So I'm talking Spider-Man, Madden, Grand Theft Auto. Backbone is this clever little piece here that turns your phone into a handheld gaming console. So you plug in your iPhone, and using the responsive buttons, triggers, and clickable analog sticks that are now attached on either side of your phone, it works really well. So whenever I think about mobile gaming, I immediately think of how limiting touchscreen controls are. The Backbone lets me play video games like Rocket League or 2K, which I'm playing right now, super similar to how I play at home, but on the go. So you can stream hundreds of games like FIFA, Halo, Minecraft, and more. Experience for yourself what one reviewer called the closest we've ever seen to a portable Xbox. So go to playbackbone.com/wave now to order your Backbone until June 30th and get free access to over 350 console games and perks, including 1 month free of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, 1 month free of Apple Arcade, 2 months free of Google Stadia Pro, and 3 months free of Discord Nitro. Find your next adventure at playbackbone.com/wave. All right, welcome back. Let's now talk Google hardware. So the first 90 minutes of Google's presentation were data. Look how much data we have. The last 30 minutes were, by the way, we can make really helpful devices.
That can collect that data.
Eventually.
All of the devices that they announced today are on the horizon to varying capacities. So we'll talk through each of them, but I also just want to address how far away these things are. So we got Pixel 6a.
Yep.
We got Pixel Buds Pro.
Yep.
Those two things are the up next, but they're also not coming till like mid-July.
July 21st is pre-order.
July 21st is pre-order.
Today, in like August.
For reference, as we listen, is May 11th as we record this. So that's 2 months away.
Yeah.
All right, fine. But they're the next up. Yeah. Then we have Pixel 7 and 7 Pro already being unveiled and announced their existence, and a Pixel Watch, all of which are coming in fall. Typically, there's an October event, so we can assume those things are 6 months away.
Yeah.
Then Rick also mentioned that there is going to be, and he even showed it, so the design's locked, I guess, a 2023 Pixel tablet. So sometime next year, don't know, early, late, it's fall of next year, I don't know, whatever, but there's going to be a tablet. So they're announcing all these things way in advance. Yeah. Now, this is another one of the things we talk about in Sony land, where we're like, all right, they announced a thing in like February and it comes out in October. And you're like, what happened between February and October where you couldn't keep the hype train going and everyone forgot about the phone? My theory is that Google knows that everything that they do leaks. And so because they know everything leaks, they figure they'll get out ahead of it early enough to just own it and just pre-announce the products before they get a chance to leak. Like, why else would they announce the Pixel 7 Pro now? They just got done saying the Pixel 6 was the best-selling Pixel ever. It sold more than the Pixel 4 and Pixel 5 combined in the same amount of time.
That's crazy.
But also, here's the Pixel 7. It's not coming till fall.
What's crazy is that you would think the hype over time would help them, because there's like an extra media cycle every couple weeks when someone comes up with a new leak.
The hype helps them to an extent, but it kills the current thing, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
If I see
the current device they're selling,
like today I want to buy a Pixel. I was thinking about getting a new phone. I was thinking about maybe getting a Pixel, and Google just got on stage and said, coming this fall, Pixel 7, next generation Tensor, updated this, that, and the other. Well,
I wouldn't buy a Pixel 6.
I don't know. Yeah. I think if you were expecting a 7 to come out at the same time, everything they said is what you would expect out of the new one. Maybe you get to see the designs a little different. I don't think it would sacrifice sales on the 6 at all, because if you are at this point right now, you've probably made the decision of the 6 or made the decision you're waiting till the 7, knowing it's going to have an updated chip, knowing, it's going to have some little updates. I mean, you got to see the design. Maybe if you hated the design for the 6 and you saw it's super similar, we're talking about that later, but like, I don't think it's sacrifices.
Here's a minor
sales.
theory. There's like a sales curve on every phone, right? You sell a ton at launch.
Spike.
You maybe sell a few more 1 or 2 months in when you have some sort of sale or when you have a little bit more media attention. Eventually, the sales just start to slump. Mm-hmm. So now they release Pixel 6a. And they announced Pixel 7 at the same time. So it's like, okay, well, now the phone's cheaper. So if you can't afford the Pixel 7 or 7 Pro, you get the 6a. Mm-hmm. And then if you're going to be buying the more expensive phone, you'll probably wait for the Pixel 7. Like maybe they just, at this point, were like, we sold most of the Pixel 6s that we're going to sell.
Fair, yeah.
They
sold what they're going to sell.
The only difference would be like, actually not Christmas, because that will be a Pixel 7. Yeah, so they're sold what they're going to sell.
I think you're right. Getting ahead of the leak,
Yeah, something like that. So you want to just go through them one by one? Sure. Reactions. I have many thoughts on each of them, actually. So let's just start with the stuff that's next up.
Okay.
Pixel 6a is the easiest one because it is a smartphone, and we know what smartphones are. $449 Pixel 6a. From what I can tell, and this is a good thing, it's very similar to Pixel 6, which was already a great value at $599. The main differences are going to be the display and the cameras. So the design, the materials are very similar. It's got the camera bar, it's got the glass and everything, recycled aluminum frame. But the display is now a 6.1 inch, 60 hertz OLED. Mm-hmm. So it's the smallest pixel at 6.1 inches, and it's at 60 hertz, which is, it's a lower refresh rate. There are a lot of 90 hertz refresh rates at this price point, but
battery though,
that's what we're working with. It's 4,400 milliamp hour battery.
So that means probably much better battery life.
Smaller
screen, 60 hertz.
I'm thinking really good battery life.
Yeah.
We got to test that and see. It's 128 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM. It has 5G. But then the one other thing that's different is the cameras, so here's what they've told us is that these cameras are one of the cost savings from Pixel 6.
Yep.
Pixel 6 had all these new cameras, the high resolution, bigger sensors. But when you look at the spec sheet, it's actually the IMX 636 from the Pixel 4 that we already know is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yes, it is a cheaper camera, but it is probably still quite a decent camera.
Yeah.
So it's a 12 megapixel primary and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. And we'll see how those turn out to be. But that for $449 seems like a pretty good phone.
Yeah. Those cameras also get all the Tensor features as well, like face unblur, magic eraser, night sight, real tone.
Yeah.
It's so
cool.
Those aren't camera based though, because you can do those.
Yeah,
Photos
just
too,
saying
so
it's an old camera, but you're still
Yeah.
getting all the new stuff. So like, it's not exactly like you're just using a Pixel 4. Like, on it.
So they're also cutting wireless charging,
Right.
which is annoying to me because that's something that they always cut to make a cheaper model, and it doesn't cost them a lot to add it, but it's just one of those things where they can say the premium phone has wireless charging, the cheaper one doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the cameras go, I mean, they added those new cameras in Pixel 6, but the processing was like the same as it was in every other Pixel. So they were using this great new 50 megapixel sensor that was binning down to 12.5 or whatever.
Yep.
But the images ended up looking the same unless you took raw photos. And if you took raw photos, they were great, but like nobody's doing that, right? So as far as that goes, until they fix the processing, this seems like a pretty good deal. The thing I'm a little bit annoyed at is that Pixel 4a, and I believe 3a and 4a were both $349. And that's a price that you're just like, holy crap, $349. Pixel 4a at $349, I think was one of the best value phones ever.
Then they had to add 5G though.
Yeah, so when they did the 4a 5G was around was around $450, and then the 5a with 5G is also $550. So now I guess that's just the new price is $550.
That's the new price. It's a budget phone with 5G.
Or $449. $450. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see. Obviously, these are all pending testing the things, but I figure my biggest dislike is going to be 60 hertz and no wireless charging.
Yeah.
But I think on paper, like having the Tensor chip and enabling like literally the exact same software experience as the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro is going to be kind of a bargain for that price.
And
so
having
a
smaller phone for people that want smaller device, even though it's 6.1
It's
still 6.1 inches,
smaller.
But it is smaller.
And that sage color looked
the sage
really,
nice.
really good.
Yeah,
big fan.
Nice. I hope that Tensor is a little worked out at this point, because it was still between Tensor and Android 12. It was a pretty buggy experience for a lot of users. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that maybe at this point it's a little more stable. I just remember the Pixel 5 was incredibly stable with a mid-range Qualcomm chip.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that with Tensor, it's just been worked out at this point. That'd be nice.
They've had a couple months.
Yeah.
We'll
also downgrade 6 gigs of RAM versus 8 gigs in
Pixel 6. Okay, 6 gigs of RAM, 128. I think that's the only spec.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So
Pixel 6a.
I like the camera cutouts in it. It's like this little oval that's cut out in the camera bar. I think it looks kind of cool. It's slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get more on that design when we get to Pixel 7. But the other thing that's coming out around this time, also it just hit me that like maybe, does this 6A launch with Android 13? Is that why it's delayed?
No.
Is it still 12?
Android 13 comes out in, I think they only said that Pixel 7 was launching.
It was kind of confusing because he kind of threw it in at the end. Like
it's always the flagship that launches with the new OS.
Yeah,
because final Android version is usually like August, September.
Okay,
and
so
then October is when the first device comes out.
Still going to launch with 12. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing launching in July is the Pixel Buds Pro. These are $199 noise-canceling wireless earbuds from Google. So we already knew about Pixel Buds. Those are $179 when they launched. They're not really on Google's store anymore, and they only really seem to really seem to show us Pixel Buds A series, which is their $99 pair of less expensive earbuds. So that's cool. But we do have Pixel Buds Pro now coming in at $199. They have multi-device connectivity. They have transparency mode. They have a 6-core audio chip in each bud, and there's several microphones on each, so that should help with noise cancellation. There's some really cool features where they can sort of improve a semi-perfect seal with like extra sound waves that'll help you cancel noise. It was kind of cool, the animation that they played, so that'd be cool to see how well it goes. IPX4 sweat and water resistance, and there's actually a touch control on the side of the bud like you'd expect, so you can get the Google Assistant or play, pause your music and stuff like that. They look pretty good. Same case.
Swipe
I like the case.
forward and backwards for volume up and down. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't like it.
You might be able to change it in the app, though.
My guess is it has 2 openings on the top and bottom for, I think, the noise canceling microphones, and
so
I think that's why you can't go up and down. Yeah.
Bummer.
So yeah.
That minor detail, but it just felt
that is kind of a quirk, yeah. The case will get you up to 31 hours of battery, but just the buds themselves will get 7 hours of listening with noise cancellation or 11 hours of listening without noise cancellation. That's pretty solid. And then a 5-minute charge in the case can give you an hour of listening with noise cancellation. So solid overall specs. Again, most of these earbuds to me depend on like 2 major things. How do they fit comfort-wise? Do they fit in my ears or not? And how do they sound?
Yeah.
It's kind of it for
Some
me.
of the videos of it looked like they were sticking pretty far out of people's ears, and that is I've said it many times, my biggest gripe with truly wireless earphones are horizontally coming out of your ear.
These don't have a wingtip. These don't have any extra like fitment to fit in your ears better.
They're like thicker though. They're more like a bean a little bit.
They kind of remind me of not the Buds Live, but they're not as big as Sony's WF-1000 XM4s. Those are the huge ones. But they are bigger than the Beats. They are bigger than AirPods. Studio Beats.
Studio Buds, right?
Studio Beats. Beats Studio Buds. Studio Buds. Yeah, it's bigger than those.
Yeah, because we're all Studio Buds.
Right, exactly. That's how you remember. But, how is that going to fit in my ear? Am I going to go for a jog and it's going to fall out? That's my primary concern. What I like earbuds for. So
yeah, I've been looking for earbuds that work for me for like every activity that I do for a while. And funny enough, like the OnePlus Buds Pro ended up being the ones that work well for me because they don't go super deep in my ear to create this like weird seal. So every time I hit the ground, it creates this weird pressure bump. And then there's 2 points of contact because like the stem sort of touches the other side of my ear.
I like the stem design so much.
I like the stem design a lot. I like understand why Apple went for this with the Pros now.
I'm a wingtip diehard.
The stem sits so nicely in your ear.
What were those earbuds that came out? Oh, this was like 2014, and everyone was buying these.
Jaybird
X2s.
I still use my X4s.
X4s,
like those things.
Everyone bought those.
They don't sound the best anymore. They don't have any noise cancellation or anything, but they're
in your
water resistant and they do not come out of my ears.
Yeah,
and that's like if I'm biking, if I'm doing anything where I need them to stay in.
Yeah,
they're the ones I trust the most to stay in. The Studio Buds have kind of like a wingy shape and they help a little bit, but I didn't know the stem.
Different ears.
Everyone's got different ears. Google said so.
Yeah, they did.
And that didn't show how they're going to fix that, really.
I am interested. They said that there's I think a 6-core processor in it that has Google designed algorithms or something that's supposed to understand your ear shape and create a seal and whatever. I want to see what that amounts to. I think we've seen a lot of presentations that have also always said like we've created our own algorithm that does this and then that does nothing.
Yeah, the benchmark is Sony's WF-1000 XM4. I'm trying to see how much they cost just so I can get those cost $279.
Yeah, and this is $199.
I'm not going to expect them to match the Sonys in sound.
The Pixel Buds 1 sounded pretty good. I know they weren't the Sonys. In
they didn't have the ANC. The Sonys are they just sound so good.
Sonys also aren't sweat resistant. Correct.
Right. They're these big bulbous things that like hang out of your ears. If you like shake your head,
they got smaller and they're still huge.
They're still huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna expect them to be somewhere between Studio Buds or Samsung's like Buds Live or something.
Yeah.
And Sony's I can't keep saying this name. WF-1000 XM4.
WF-1000X Mark IV, right?
Yes.
Just have Adam record you saying it once, and you can just superimpose it into.
I really do like the W.
The button. And then there's the one other thing they said that they, I think Andrew mentioned this slightly, but like they're using some sort of like alternate sound wave to create some like seal in your ear. Like that is weird. I really am interested in trying that.
It reminds me of, I mean, not sound related, but remember when they said they were going to improve zooming by using like the way your hand swayed and being able to sharpen images through that? It's like, I feel like they always have this weird way of like how the product interacts with the body and how that is going to
that
create
actually
the
works really
feel.
well though. The camera thing.
It worked well, but it's still a zoomed in photo.
But that wasn't for zoom, right? That was just
No,
for
it's
HDR.
for zoom.
You're talking about super zoom?
Yeah, it was Pixel 3,
Oh,
right?
you're talking about super zoom?
Yeah, where you would zoom super far into
that didn't
digital
work very
zoom.
well.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, man, you're really critical of photos.
I thought you were talking about HDR.
Okay,
because
no.
HDR works the same way, where the gyroscope understands at all times, and so it's able to align the frames a lot better because it knows exactly what orientation it's been in over time.
I guess it's still similar thing. They're using the way your body reacts to, or it's reacting to your body, I guess.
The super zoom was terrible. Like that did not work.
Super res zoom.
Super res zoom. Yeah. Dolly could do that better.
Oh, Dolly can do a lot of things.
I want to see real quick. I know Adam's somebody who used Pixel Buds a lot.
Yeah, he still uses them.
Are you excited about these at all?
Absolutely not.
That's what I thought. Okay. Just wanted to get that on tape.
I like the case a lot. It's fun to play with. And
Same case.
Looks like an egg.
I would like if they added some sort of like soft touch finish to the case though, because the current finish is just smooth and I don't know. Yeah. It would be nice if they made a little more premium.
I would like that, but then I would be worried this is what it's going to look like in your pocket all the time.
The yellowing of my Pixel book. Yeah.
Well, speaking of soft touch finish, Pixel 7. That was a pretty good transition.
That was actually a pretty good segue.
So down the line, we're going to get 2 new products in the fall, Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, and a Pixel Watch. The Pixel 7, what we do know is this thing is going to be a slightly updated design with kind of like what we saw with the Pixel 6a. It's got bigger camera cutouts. Inside of the camera bar, new colors, and soft touch glass, which I'm actually very excited about.
It looks like Pixel 3 style, and that's the best texture they've ever released.
I really like that. Yeah. So that's Pixel 7 will have the next gen Tensor chip. It will. Tensor 2, I don't think they told us kind of anything else. Like we don't know about specs or RAM.
The
or
camera
sizes.
bump's one piece of recycled aluminum, which I actually think is really cool.
Better. Yeah,
it's not. It's like still going to be glossy, but it's glass right now. But there's like a couple very specific like indents in the bump right now, which I really don't like that much. It's like a 3-piece
design right now that's supposed to look like one, and it isn't.
So it's a visor now, and it's going to turn into like the Star Trek like Scotty. I don't know. He has a visor where it's like metal and a glass on the front.
Geordi, I think.
Geordi,
yeah.
But this is very much a visor, and we're going to see a bump, a bar.
A bar.
It didn't look as tall either. It looked like the bump may have been, I mean, this speculating from a couple renders, but it looked maybe a bit thinner, which would be very nice.
It did look thinner,
right?
Yeah, which is interesting. And to me, it looked like all 3 cameras were the 50 meg camera because they were all big.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
The 50 meg camera is the main sensor in the Pro.
It was kind of hard to tell because like, I'm assuming the cutout has to be there since it's one piece rather than having that extra piece of glass where you can't see the cutouts as much in that. So is it giving it extra cutouts because it's just like the piece of aluminum?
I think that's that could be the case.
That's why the cutouts are so obvious.
That could be the case for sure. And they just have glass over the aluminum. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but they did look bigger than the 6A.
They did look big. Yeah,
for sure. I think that they are the bigger sensor that we saw in the main sensor of the 6 Pro.
Yeah. So they didn't tell us anything about price, refresh rates, screen sizes, or anything like that. They're going to reveal way more down the line, and we'll figure that out in the fall sometime, whenever that event is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did pre-announce Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. Yeah. You guys were interested in the gray green looking color one? Is that right?
It was ugly. I like the white the best.
Yeah,
I need to see another picture.
I want to see the satin black one.
There was like a lime green that was even more lime than the current Pixel 6.
Oh, it's like highlighter.
Oh no, I like the green.
It's interesting. It's like highlighter
with the gold.
Yeah, that one. Gold.
I don't like the weird gray one though.
Do you remember the
white one's cool?
The Essential phone that had the green with the gold sides on it? I think this is like a muted version of that.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing looks as good as the Essential phone.
Yeah, that's one of the best looking phones of all time for sure.
I think the only thing we can really take from this is confirming the difference between the 6 and the Pro will be still 2 cameras versus 3 cameras. So assuming no telephoto in the Pixel 6.
7.
Something I noticed about this is that every year when Apple makes a new phone, it ends up either looking exactly the same or the same, but the cameras are slightly different. That's basically what they did here. Yeah. Pixels have always been known for having an almost completely new design every year. Mm-hmm. And then this is one of the first times where they actually like really changed it up.
Yeah, one of the things I praised the Pixel about was whether you think it's pretty or ugly, it looks unique. It looks very much like a Pixel. They all have the camera cut out in the corner. This is the bar. And you're like, that's the Pixel at a glance. Yeah. And they very much kept that about it, but changed it a little bit, updated it, improved it. So I like it. Yeah, I like it.
More premium.
The bar definitely grew on me. I don't know if you're watching the video version right now, which you should be, but this is the phone I've been carrying for like a month now. Is the 6 Pro, and it's the gray one, and you can see the slight difference in the bottom versus the top glass. Like no other phone looks like this.
Yeah,
so
distinctive.
What I can tell also is different. It doesn't have that stupid matte finish on the top rail that the Pro has.
Yeah.
Do you see on yours how it has that matte black on the top and the white has the white matte on the top rail?
Oh.
And it's different.
Honestly,
this just looks like a regular
the
rail.
Materials
on the top of
quality
everything.
of the 6 Pro is pretty bad. And like the way that everything is stuck together just seems very cheap on the 6 and 6 Pro. So this looks like they really refined it.
Yeah, one piece of metal. Mm-hmm. That should be good.
It's generally the second generation of anything that is always a lot better. And this is sort of the second generation of the new version of the Pixel.
Yeah. You want to do you want to place bets on price?
I'm going to guess it's the same price.
So $599, $799?
Yeah.
Or is that what, $899? $599 for the 7.
They might make it $849.
Okay. You almost like want to guess it because it's one piece like aluminum versus the glass multiple piece thing right now. You just think metal is more premium, but I would agree with you. Same price.
Same price. The only thing is that a lot of people freaked out about the Pro being $899, so they could make it $50 cheaper, but they'll probably keep it the same.
Yeah.
I imagine they'll keep it the same and they'll be like, all of this at the exact same price. Yeah. Isn't it great?
Look how much more phone we gave you for the same money.
Yeah. Ignore that it's been a year.
I'm looking forward to next generation Tensor though. That should be cool too.
Tensor 2.
So after the break, we're going to talk Pixel Watch. And then of course we got a little Pixel tablet sneak peek. But since we are going into break, that does mean we have our second trivia question. Let's try it.
So right now, by the way, I forgot to mention the score is Marques has 5. Andrew has 2. David has none.
Okay, but
obviously,
did you give Marques the score for the one that I almost got?
You didn't get any last time, so Marques'
you got
score
0
didn't change.
I was so close for the Tesla one. I was so close.
Dang. Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Also, I should reiterate the rules, David.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Discuss it at the end, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
How old is Sundar Pichai?
Oh. Well, when I was at his house last weekend for dinner.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We also need to talk about the Pixel Watch. The Pixel Watch is coming out also in the fall alongside the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. It was revealed by Rick Osterloh, and I just want to give him a shout out because Rick, that was a good reveal. Bro, that was good. He came out there with the sleeves rolled all the way down, and he just started talking, and we were like, "Yeah, when's he going to show us? When's he going to show us the watch? He's got to be wearing it." We all agreed that he had it on, and he had a moment where he said something about a watch, and he kind of like smirked, like, "Yeah, you know exactly what's going on," and then showed us the watch. So we got our first look at the Pixel Watch.
He was like genuinely like. You don't see it very often in these events. People try and like be excited about things. You could tell was genuinely excited, and I like appreciate that so much. He had a really cute smile. Yeah.
Biggest cheer of the night.
Rick, if you're out there, cute smile.
Biggest cheer of the night.
We appreciate it.
I think when he pulled the watch back and they said we're finally doing a Pixel Watch, that was the most animated moment of the keynote, which is interesting. So mixed feelings about it here in the studio. I want to ask you guys what you think of the Pixel Watch. I'll just preface it by saying it's a very simple design, audio listeners. It's just picture a circle.
All right. That's it.
Yeah. That's basically it. It's glass. It's got one button and one dial.
Yeah.
They're calling it, what are they calling it? What are they calling
digital
style?
crown, right?
Something else
Digital
crown.
dial?
Tactile crown.
Instead of digital.
Tactile crown,
I
yes.
see.
So that's the input.
Branding.
It's going to be running Wear OS. It's going to have a decently, I don't want to say thick bezels, but like noticeable bezels all the way around the outside. I mean, we've used other smartwatches at this point, so we can compare. But what do you think about this smartwatch design?
Well, it looks pretty. The Z height is very tall.
Thickness?
It looks pretty thick.
How many C's?
Probably 3.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I was going to give 2.
Maybe 2.5.
2 C's. Okay.
I mean, like when you compare it to the Samsung Galaxy. Well, okay, hey.
Andrew's like grimacing at this.
Like the Galaxy Watch 4, if you noticed at the keynote, almost every single person that went on stage was wearing a Galaxy Watch 4.
We were looking for it like the whole time, yeah.
Because Samsung and Google have that like weird relationship now where like they're sort of together as one company, but not really. But the Galaxy Watch 4 is fairly thin. And then you see the Pixel Watch and you're like, oh, that's got some C's on it. And so then it's also like, it's domed. So it's got dome glass. So it kind of goes over the top. But then you see the bezel and you're just like, the bezel almost looks as thick as the original Moto 360 flat tire.
Oh, I see what you're saying. As
Yeah.
the flat part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I didn't really get thick vibes. I thought it was like a pretty, maybe because I'm wearing an Apple Watch and that's fine. Like it's a decent thickness.
Yeah, it's also kind of thick.
But I was definitely struck by the bezels. So I remember the Moto 360 very well. I thought that was a really interesting design.
Yeah.
Where they said, you know what? It's kind of like that Sharp Aquos phone. They're like, we're going to do thin bezels everywhere we can, but we got to put that stuff somewhere. So we put it at the bottom.
Yeah.
This one was, it was even bezels all the way around.
Yeah.
But when they showed the UI and they did some frames of swiping through the UI,
Cuts things
you
off.
could tell there's like squircle UI and then there's like empty space
Yeah.
that it keeps cutting off the corners of. So like, I don't know. It's a lot of blank space.
Yeah. Andrew and I talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
2
ago,
weeks
I
ago.
believe, yeah.
But this design has basically been the design that's been leaking for like 4 or 5 years now. Like when this watch first leaked, it was like with the Pixel 3 or something like that. And it looked exactly the same.
It looked kind of like a render.
Yeah.
It still does look like a render.
Like when it was 3 years ago, I was like, yeah, well, anyone could make up a watch that looks like that. Like
Yeah.
it could be real or not.
So it's not really doing the thing that the Pixel 6 is doing, where it's like, we are going to be a very different looking watch that's going to call attention to itself. This does not. It is a circle.
I think, and that's where like I see a lot of people and in this office who don't like it. I kind of think that's the reason why I don't mind it that much, because like it's a watch and a lot of watches look very similar. Adam,
It's
don't
so
kill me.
inoffensive.
Yeah, it's like it is circular, but it's like I would rather it look very plain than it be square like an Apple Watch.
You know what they didn't
Yeah.
show? Any interesting watch faces.
They didn't show very much.
They just showed like the one simple analog watch face. And so I think a lot of the customization of the way a watch looks comes from when you look at the face of it. And we didn't really get much of that. We just got like, here's what changing the temperature in a smart home would look like. Here's what paying with Google Pay would look like. We didn't really get like, I mean, it's not coming out till fall, so I guess I shouldn't expect it to be done.
Yeah.
But we didn't really get a look at Wear OS and any of that customization.
They said it was like a newer version of Wear OS that I think is going to be Pixel Watch exclusive. So sort of like the Google launcher is exclusive, well, Pixel launcher on Pixels. But yeah, I don't know. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt until we get it in person, because it feels like they've been working on it for a long time and it could be great. The one thing that I think is going to be awesome for a lot of people is that they acquired Fitbit. For people who don't know, they acquired Fitbit. And so they're going to have a ton of Fitbit integration. What that means for Google Fit, I don't know, which is kind of a bummer.
I'm very confused by that.
It's confusing because they revamped Google Fit like a year ago.
Yeah, like Google Fit's got a bunch of new features. If you just have an Android phone and you leave Google Fit on and tracking, it'll give you your steps, it'll give you all kinds of stuff. Like Google Fit's a real product right now.
Yeah.
But then they launched this watch and they're plugging a bunch of the fitness stuff into Fitbit.
And they're calling
which
it
is
Fitbit
a
still.
separate suite with separate data and a separate Fitbit account.
Yeah.
So it's not going to talk to Google Fit at all. So
I think
have some sort of
there is
integration.
some sort of, I think Google Fit does connect with Fitbit already because of the combination of it.
Okay, so maybe
I don't know
It's just
exactly
weird that you have
how,
to do
but there's some
both.
sort of connection.
I think that, I mean, I feel like it would make more sense for them to rebrand Fitbit to Google Fit.
100%.
I think Fitbit's too much of a household
strong of a
name.
brand.
It is such. There are people who just call activity trackers Fitbits. Like,
But I mean,
that is
Google just rebrand Fitbit to Google Fitbit.
I think there are people who are
Google
saying,
Fitbit.
I want a Fitbit.
Google Fit, Google Fitbit.
Yeah.
It could be that.
In the fine print, it said you need a Fitbit account to track this stuff.
I will say, like, when I remember a lot of bigger corporations will have like little Fitbit fitness competitions because it's cross-device. It works for iPhones and Android phones.
Yep.
They have like little versions that go in your shoe, so it just like counts your steps and you don't have to wear a watch. I know that Adam will really like that because like wearing 2 watches sucks. But I mean, for anyone that had a Fitbit before and wants smartwatch features, but also wants to keep all of their Fitbit stuff, like that's cool for those people, I guess.
True.
Fitbit users that want a Wear OS watch.
Yeah, I guess. A Wear OS watch, because Fitbit has gotten all the way to the, like full watches and not just like their little,
like
bracelet
the Versa
Fitbit.
2 and 3 were pretty good, but they were definitely very limited.
Yeah, I feel like those will be the activity first trackers, like activity tracker first, and this will be the like smartwatch first.
Yeah,
and then whichever side you're on.
I do sort of feel like they should just scrap Google Fit though and just make it called Google Fitbit.
Yeah.
And then that will be
Embrace the name.
Google. Come on, we do so much free work for you. Just like make it happen. Here's
easy. My question. So we've seen the design. We don't really know many other details. Like I'm hoping it's an OLED. Like I don't know how long the battery life is, but there are things that we're going to find out in fall. How much do you think this will cost? Andrew, you first. How much is the Pixel Watch?
I honestly have no clue. $399.
$399. Okay. Feels premium at $399.
I was $329 is my guess.
So my point of reference is right now the Apple Watch Series 7 starts at $399
for the smallest one.
For the smallest one, okay. But you can get an Apple Watch SE for $279 or an Apple Watch Series 3 right now for $199. Can they possibly position themselves above all of the Apple Watches? With
Not
the Pixel
above.
Watch.
They could position it. My thought is they're going to position it between the SE and the regular one, so it's a good value compared to the expensive Apple Watches, but it's slightly more than the SE to sort of position it as we are not an SE, we are more premium. So that's
like
$329 makes sense to me.
Okay, $329. Yeah, I think you're right. Somewhere between $279 and $399. I could see it being $299 at launch and then dropping something like that.
Wait, you mean $399 at launch or $299?
Sorry, $399 at launch and then dropping. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. But that's another fall thing. The last thing that Rick also unveiled was the Pixel tablet. This we don't know anything about other than the one little graphic that we saw on stage. So it's coming out in 2023 and it will have a Tensor-based chip, whatever generation is happening that year.
Tensor 2 at that point.
Well, it's
or 1.
After that, it could be.
It's sort of like how they put the M1 in the iPad, the iPad Air when they haven't released the M. Well, when they had the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, they just put the M1 in the iPad because it was like these are cheap now because we've been making them for a long time.
What if this doesn't come out till fall of 2023 when Tensor 3 comes out?
Cheap if they
If it's 2023 sometime, we don't know when. So I don't know. Whatever.
It depends how premium they want to make it.
Yeah, the point is we don't know. We don't know what's happening. But it is a tablet. It looks like a pretty big
I can explain it perfectly what it looks like.
What does
it
it
is
look like?
the Google Nest Hub Max ripped off of the speaker on the front, and it's the Nexus 6 on the back.
We had never seen the screen before because the press materials they gave us only had the back corner, and then we saw the whole thing at the event, and it literally looks like they ripped the front of the Nest Hub
right
Max.
off the front.
There is only one reason why I don't like it.
Because it's not an iPad.
Because it has white bezels.
Because it doesn't run Final Cut.
Big old white bezels.
If I'm watching a movie,
white bezels, man.
Look, Apple could kind of sway me. We talked about this before with the white bezels on the iMac. Because I always say, just put black bezels on a screen.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm watching a movie and there's black bars, I'm going to see 2 times as many bars if there's white bezels around this thing. But they're like, it's going to be in your kitchen and your living room and other rooms with white walls. And they kind of have a point because it does kind of fade away into the room with the white walls.
It depends on what you're using it for, basically.
Yeah.
Like the internet is white most of the time.
Exactly. But this is a tablet.
Yeah.
So I'm using it up against like a dark room background. I'm on a plane with it. I'm watching movies, streaming. why would you have white bezels on a tablet? I've never seen that before.
White bezels also generally indicate a cheaper device.
Typically, yeah.
And so does this mean it's going to be a cheap tablet? I mean, to me, it almost looked like a redone Nexus 7 to me.
For 100%. From the back, it looks like a Nexus 7.
And it has that soft touch, which makes me think it's cheaper.
And one camera, which the Nexus 7 also had.
Okay.
In the same spot, same
so maybe
design.
It'll be an affordable, because they went with the last tablet they did was way too expensive, and it was laggy, and it was all these things. So maybe it'll be cheaper.
Yeah. So the question is, it's
Android. Cheaper Tensor tablet. That makes sense. It's kind of like an iPad Air.
The way Google described it to me was as a more premium, larger tablet, which is why in the video I kind of positioned it like iPad Air somewhere in there. iPad Air to iPad Pro, somewhere in that range.
Premium, right?
Right, because you have like a cheap $190 iPad.
It's premium.
But, a lot of the question is what apps will work with it and will it actually be a good experience? Because we were talking about Chromebooks and the other tablets running Chrome OS before. And so Google did kind of answer some of those questions. We got a bunch of optimized apps on stage. I think it was 20. But it's like the 20...
It's probably all Google apps.
Look, they've got till fall 2023 or whenever it comes out, but it was a bunch of Google apps, to your point. So like Gmail, browser, a bunch of the UI stuff in Android. So they're thinking about it.
To be fair, they've been working on Android 12L for a while for large devices. And I feel like that was sort of an indicator that they were working on a tablet UI.
This feels like where it will debut.
Yeah.
So,
which would be great if they came back in and they were like, okay, we actually care for the next few months.
Yeah.
Because who knows how long they're going to care for.
We'll see how long it
would
lasts.
be great if it lasted a while.
Yeah. But the Pixel tablet, it's a curious thing. I have no idea what they're going to price it at. We really don't know anything else about it other than what they said on stage for those 30 seconds. So Rick, if you want to tell us more, feel free. I'm listening always. My inbox is open as they usually are. But that is the Pixel family. We got a whole bunch of Google hardware in the last 30 minutes of the event. So much of it will not be available for months and for a very long time, but I think they're successfully ahead of the leaks now.
But wait.
They've done it.
One more thing.
They did do one more thing.
They did it.
The one more thing at the end of the event was fascinating.
Yeah.
It was a pair of, would you call them AR? Maybe not. They're not even really AR glasses.
I don't know.
They are a pair of glasses. And I'll reference Google Glass in my explanation.
Rick talked about AR a ton right before he showed the glasses.
Right. But technically, this did not overlay anything on top of the real world.
It did, though.
It just projected text in front of your eyes. So it was...
Text overlaid to the real world, but that's all it was.
Okay, it's not tracked to the real world, but it's between you and the real world.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So it looks like a regular pair of glasses, but the person wearing the glasses is getting a live transcription of what someone is saying to them in text in front of their eyeball.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
We all know how fast Google's live transcription is.
Especially through Tensor.
Their translate is excellent.
Tensor-based.
So you can imagine this having a Tensor chip inside, having a microphone on the side, having really good battery life because there's not that much visually to show. And I thought that was super interesting. Now, again, we don't have a date. We don't have a price. This is just them demoing something they've been working on. But there was a point where it appeared to be translating sign language. I'm not sure if I understood that part of the video correctly.
I think that's what it was doing.
But it didn't look like there was any camera on it.
Yeah, it might be hidden. I don't know.
That was the most confusing part.
They did just say it was a prototype, so like how much of it is actually like, because like obviously we weren't seeing actual footage through the lens. They had to just like superimpose that and edit that. So what they ultimately were showing us was saying it was a prototype, showing us what it did. We didn't actually see if that's what it'll look like.
I agree. I just think there's a huge difference between having a camera on your face and not having a camera on your face.
Yeah.
And so if Google's going to be, putting together a pair, like I think it would be really cool to have that live pair of, even for like disabilities or just like, language barriers, all kinds of people would find that really useful. But the visual element on top of it, if it actually has a camera on it, that unlocks a whole new world of things it could do.
Yeah.
So the fact that Google focused on the text leads me to believe they're probably going to focus on audio. Yeah. And it doesn't have a camera, but I don't know.
It could have a camera, and they're just trying to keep people away from being like, oh God, privacy implications. Here we go again. Electric Boogaloo, because that's exactly what happened with like the Google Glass 1. People were getting kicked out of movie theaters because people thought they were recording. People are getting ticketed on the freeway because they thought they were watching movies while driving. Like, everyone was just terrified of cameras. And there was no indicator that it was recording anything or taking photos. And I think that was their biggest downfall with Glass One in 2012. Yeah. So it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
guess
a
this
long
is
time
their
ago.
next run, right? So
I think
I got a little emotional actually when I was watching this video. There's not a lot of like tech videos that make me emotional, but like seeing the people that like couldn't communicate getting so excited that they were able to communicate, it's like a really deeply personal thing.
It's really cool. And the reason it's personable is because it's in your eye and your peripheral, is that you can actually make eye contact during your conversation with someone who speaks a different language rather than just having your phone translate open and looking down at your phone, reading it all, and then like looking back up and saying
Google
something.
Glass first gen was close, but do you remember what it looked like to talk to someone wearing Google Glass?
Yeah, they were like,
they would be looking up in the corner like that. Like, so you knew they're like looking, but like they're kind of like looking
live
up.
translate thing has been in Google's peripherals, pun intended now, for a very long time, because even the Pixel Buds 1, they announced live translation was like a key feature of the Pixel Buds 1. But the problem was if one person was wearing Pixel Buds, they had to like hold their phone up to the other person to like show them what it was saying, talk into it. And that was cool. And they consider that live translation. But over time, their live translation has just gotten better and better and better. And Tensor is specifically targeting that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they were able to get that to a point where you just wear something and it, you know.
That's why I think this is super smart twofold. Number one,
but it doesn't fold.
Yeah, it doesn't fold. But for two reasons. Number one is we've been looking for like a killer app for AR glasses for forever. Mm-hmm. Like we have all these unique things that they're capable of doing, but every company is looking for the killer app or the thing that it can do that connects with everyone. And this is universal thing. Yeah. We all could use some type of translation at some point. And then on top of that, it's better than the previous version. So it's one way. I have the glasses on. You don't need anything. You talk. I understand you. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's no extra layer of like talking to my phone, please. You just talk, and I can understand you.
Both people kind of need the glasses, though.
Well, if you can speak, then I can understand, and hopefully, if I want to have a conversation with you, then I need to also get translated back to you. In which case, both people need the glasses. But just the fact that you can have the glasses on and your superpower is now activated is like.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. The camera would help though, because imagine you're in Tokyo and you know how Google Translate now you can point it at anything and it'll live update the text to be in your language.
It would be a killer feature.
You could do that with glasses. You're just wandering a new country and everything's in your language. That's incredible.
That's my number one anxiety about international travel is like when I land in France, what are the signs going to say? Oh, I'm going to be lost so fast.
That's like when people ask you like, would you rather be able to fly or know every language? That's a hard question for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because that is a superpower.
Yeah.
So
Google's got all of the data. They've got a killer app, and they appear to have been working on a form factor that looks reasonable and doesn't scare people so much. You know, they showed the video at the keynote. I'm sure they're going to be monitoring comment sections of videos like this. Like, what do people really think?
Yeah, definitely.
But they look pretty reasonable. Yeah. So that's pretty sick.
It's an interesting one more thing to sort of just show what we've been working on, but say nothing about when we're hoping to put it out, what it's going to do, the features it's going to have. Like, that's kind of smart because they're getting live feedback from a lot of people.
They're also getting a little bit ahead of whatever glasses announcement Apple's about to drop.
Yeah, because that's anybody happening else. In like 2024 or something.
Yeah, allegedly this year.
Really?
Well, I mean, we'll see.
The Apple one?
But whenever it is, Google's ahead of it now.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
We shall see.
Yeah. That's exciting though.
But that's all the hardware. That is all of the hardware things.
Wasn't expecting that.
Google's not a hardware company, so they spent 90 minutes on other things, but in the last 30 minutes, they managed to jam pack all of that stuff in, and that's sort of our take. Any other things we should hit, or should we just answer trivia now?
I think trivia. I think that's
trivia.
That's a long episode, despite we only really talked about 30 minutes of the entire thing.
It was good. You should watch the recap video on the channel, on the main channel. We did break down and summarize everything as fast as possible. So if you made it to the end of this hour-long podcast and need a quick summary, got you.
Wow.
It's like the TLDR from Google Docs.
It's the TLDR, exactly.
There you go.
But let's return to the trivia questions and attempt to get points.
Okay. First question. When was the first iPod released? If you can get the day, you will get 2 points. Just a year is 1 point.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the day because I don't know when they were timing things back then. I mean, it was Macworld. What if I get the month?
Day and month.
Is it released?
It wasn't even Macworld
Is it
anyway.
announced
Wait.
or released?
Released.
I should go first because it sounds like these two know the year easy, and I'm just still guessing on the year.
I know the year.
I'm guessing the year.
Okay.
I'm guessing that it was 1999. That's my guess.
Oh, wait. Okay. Gonna change it. Introduced. Good call. Not released. Introduced. Like when it was announced.
Introduced.
1999.
99. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. Wait, are you editing out when David says the answer before, or
I could be
if
wrong,
I can
actually.
reference
I
it?
could
No,
be
I'm gonna
wrong.
keep it.
I actually could be wrong.
I know David said 2001 before, but so I was thinking 2002,
might
and you
actually be
saying
wrong.
that makes me think 2001. So I'm gonna go 2001.
Wow.
I mean, we can have the same answer.
No guess on month or days.
Do you
or
have
nothing?
month?
Not a chance.
All right. I'm going with, gosh,
iPod.
July 2001.
Let's go with March 1999. I'm so wrong.
The answer is October 23rd, 2001.
October. Wait, introduced or announced?
October.
Introduced.
Oh, we were doing introduced? I thought we were doing announced.
He very specifically
that's the same
said.
thing.
He looked at you, said
He
your
announced-
name, and
okay.
said
Called it. I was like,
introduced.
thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
October.
Isn't that the same thing? Introduced
No,
and announced?
because they wait, introduced versus announced.
Released?
Released. Oh wait, yeah.
Wait,
We
yeah,
didn't
but
just-
that your guess was
to
earlier.
be fair,
so.
the keynote was in July. I just want you to know the keynote was in July 2001.
Okay. Well, either way, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And you got 2001? You guys
Yeah,
both got it?
Space
Yeah.
Odyssey.
So they
Alright.
both got 1 point.
Dang.
That's annoying because I knew it was October too. Well, that's my fault.
Well, you still wouldn't have gotten a day, so you wouldn't
That's
have gotten
true.
the full.
Was it 23rd?
Yeah, 23rd.
Actually, I watched the original Apple iPod keynote last night before I went to bed.
That's hilarious that you still didn't get the
Don't put
day.
that in the recording for David's
That's why I
sake.
knew it was 2001.
Look at this
I
guy.
literally watched it last night.
Okay. So
10
the
minutes.
next question was, how old is Sundar Pichai?
Right. All right. So Sundar, you're a good-looking guy.
He looks great, man.
great
Your jackets
looking
look
dude.
great. I
What
think
a jacket.
I think he's 56.
I was gonna go 58, and that's just because I'm assuming he's much older than I think he looks, because he's a young looking dude
Right. For a CEO.
40,
for anyone.
47.
Before you answer, if we all got it wrong, can we give a point to the closest?
Sure.
Is this
not
Price is
not
Right
Price
rules?
is Right rules.
So whoever's closest, period.
Yeah.
Okay.
47.
So
for me.
47,
Ooh.
Andrew.
58.
58, Marquez.
56.
56. The answer is 49.
Wow.
Get wrecked.
That
I'm
man-
so good
I
at trivia.
Feel bad now.
I'm so good at
He's
trivia.
a young CEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy
Here's
cow.
the thing I've noticed with most tech CEOs.
They have a lot of money.
That's
They
that
age.
as well.
They
Well, they
age
definitely
visually.
age. But my thing is, we think they're older than they are because we have seen these companies grow up over the last like 10 years. But the thing is, when they started at these companies, they were hella young.
True. They've probably been, if you're the CEO of a very bureaucratic company or a major company like that, you have to have been there for like 30 years.
Yeah, like when I watched that iPod keynote last night, they had a little commercial they were going to run on TVs. They had Phil Schiller in the commercial of the original iPod in 2001, and I was like, this guy's still giving keynotes.
Yeah.
So he must have been super young when he started.
I have a bonus point.
Oh,
What year did Sundar join Google?
okay. I have bonus trivia. Sundar started as like a low-level dude at Google.
Engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no,
he was like-
that's the best person to like, yeah.
Yeah.
You actually are in the thick of it.
Yeah.
What year did he start? Oh boy.
I'm gonna say 2007.
That's the year the iPhone came out.
This one you need to get the year. It's
Oh,
not
wait.
whoever gets
They bought
closest.
YouTube in 05.
I'm gonna say 2007.
2003.
It was actually
Andrew.
probably later. It's probably like 2009 or
Well,
something.
I feel like
I'm gonna say
he was
2007.
newer than I thought. Like, I don't think he was there.
Oh, man.
Well, he couldn't be there
I
for
think he
30
is
years because then he
newer.
would have been 19.
I think he is newer.
I'm going to say 2012.
2004.
Oh.
So I was closest.
Yeah, but I said
That
you
doesn't
have to get
matter.
the year.
I said,
matter.
You said 04?
I said 7.
I said 03.
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
I was the closest.
None of it matters.
I was close. I
Never
just
mind,
want to
I
say I was the closest. That's all.
I admit defeat on that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, shout out to Sundar. I mean, if you haven't seen our interview with Sundar, where we talk about a little bit of AI stuff, a little bit of computing, a little bit of what Google's up to, you should watch that. That'll be in the show notes.
Sick fit. I want that jacket.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of 8K videos of Sundar on the internet. I'll put it that way. So if you just want to admire Sundar looking young, then there you go.
Did we export that in 8K?
It was shot in 8K and then it's up in 4K. But, you don't usually get to see these interviews of people just sitting down and talking. So
he's got great facial hair, so if you want to see the individual strands, that's
okay. This episode of Waveform was brought to you by Vox Media. Our intro outro music was created.
No, that was it. You should definitely check the show notes for all the relevant links, but that's where we'll end it. What's the new trivia score? I got 0. I have 5 still.
Andrew got one. I got 1. Andrew got 1. I got 2.
Marques has 5. Andrew has 3. David has 2 now.
Okay, right. But as far as a ratio goes of how many shows we've been on,
impressive either way.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next week. Peace.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Rovin. We are partnered with Vox Media, and our intro outro music was created by Vane Sill.